All right, so we should be live right now, but while I check my YouTube channel on my phone and make sure everything's running smoothly, do you think you can maybe provide like kind of a brief introduction about you and what you do and everything?
You want me to do that now?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Jim Carr. I'm a basketball coach over at IMG Academy.
All right, well, anyways, great. I like how it was very brief. I don't really need to get too too many too many details, but yeah, well, let me see. All right, okay. I got nervous for a second. I couldn't see it on YouTube because I monitor the interviews on my phone to make
Right.
sure like it's going and I'm not just doing this and then it disappears and so kind of make sure it stays there. But I guess first things first, and you kind of brought this up to me. I want to kind of channel like the fan inside of me. As much as there's a lot of knowledge I want to gain. First off, how I discovered you. I was in middle school and I remember like my dad and I went to I think three of your games. Saw you coach probably one of the best teams, some of the best players ever in South Florida, and Vernon Carey, Scotty Barnes. Then I don't remember all the other. I didn't even realize like how loaded the team even was until like this year. I was looking at the roster. I'm like, oh, like there's even more guys besides them. But just take us through, I guess, that year. Coaching players like Vernon Carey, Scotty Barnes.
That was, it was a really fun team to be around on a daily basis. And those 2 years of university school, we went 61-7. And actually, I just got a text not too long ago from a guy saying, did you realize that the last two ACC rookies of the year were on that team? I mean, we were uber talented, two generational players, and a lot of depth, and sort of like right time, right group, right collection of people. And we won a lot of championships and a lot of games. But more than anything else, I thought we were must-see TV. We were fun to watch. We really got after it defensively. Scotty's personality was so big, the way he played, and so hard and so unselfish. And Vernon was dominant. Vernon was a dominant scorer, and I really think that I caught Vernon. I'm happy to be a small part of all those guys' career. And when I caught Vernon, he was just starting to come out of his shell a little bit, and he had some great emotion and was really just a terrific player.
Definitely, and then we're gonna get into that a lot more. But I also want to cover something that you said. I guess you maybe wanted to talk about was just the talent that we have in South Florida this year. Even though you're in what is considered South Florida, but in my opinion, where you live is not South Florida.
I live at IMG now. I live on the other coast of the state, but I'm just real proud of watching the guys. I mean, we were like a super team. That guys came together to play there. And I see sort of the same thing happening over. Calvary Christian was such a great story this year. They're a very, very talented group. I love that backcourt with Tyler and Marvell and Carl and, Taylor up front with Greg. They just have great depth in the way they play. I love watching the Thompson twins play. I've caught some footage of them lately. And I just think South Florida right now is really on a rise with really good young talent in the 2022 and 23 class. It's really good, and it's really enjoyable for me to watch some kids that I knew when they were really young starting to excel.
Yeah. Were you born like in South Florida? Is that kind of
no? This bad accent comes from I was born in the Northeast. I was actually born in Northeast Pennsylvania, and I spent most of my adult life as an assistant coach at Rutgers University in New Jersey. And then from there, I went to University of Rhode Island. So I've only been in Florida now. This is my fourth year down here.
Yeah, because I saw, I just did a little quick scroll of the Instagram, and I had a feeling, because I saw something with you like wearing a Rutgers shirt or something like that. I had a feeling you were from the Northeast. So I guess what I'm really curious about is kind of why you're, so supportive, and you're not, extremely involved with South Florida basketball in terms of like the guys now currently, but you just have like a lot of great relationships with all these players here when you're not even a coach in the area anymore.
I think it's important, and at university school, and especially when we were very good, I think you have a responsibility to the area, and especially the basketball community, to try to have as many relationships and try to support it. Number one, it's a player's game. I love the fact that players are now getting different rights and different empowerments. And I just think some of these kids are great stories, and they're going to have impact nationally. And anything I could do to help them, whether it's advice or any kind of support, I think is sort of my responsibility and my role, as a coach. Too often I think coaches and at all levels, high school, grassroots, and college, we take ourselves way too seriously, and we're nothing without these players, and it's our job to serve them. And I've always sort of had those sort of relationships with guys. I think a lot of that comes from coaching in college first. When you learn it as a college coach, you realize that relationships are everything.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I'm thinking about it, like if Vernon Carey and Scotty Barnes either were in South Florida and was kind of like, just duds, or they didn't live there, like I probably wouldn't even be into high school basketball. So just kind of, explain a little bit, like I guess that team and you yourself, you really left an impact, at least on me and kind of my interest with this high school basketball in general.
I think the main thing there is, like I said, it was a great collection of guys. Like those kids cared about playing the right way, and they guarded every day. And the first season, we really caught lightning in a bottle. We were unranked to start the year. We started off the year pretty well with some good wins, and then we went down City of Palms. And actually, I just talked to Donnie Wilkie about an hour ago. We were the lowest seed as a 10th seed ever to win that tournament, and that week was so special because we beat Cole Anthony and Archbishop Malloy, which is a New York City powerhouse for years, in the first round, and that sort of started like our little innocent climb that week, and then we were down 17 to Mater Dei, which any casual fan knows Mater Dei, and we came back and beat them in double overtime, and then we beat Shreve Cooper and Isaiah Okafor with McEachern, and that set up the matchup with Memphis East, and we were it's very innocent climb. We probably didn't know how good we were. And we had excitement about us, and we had a lot of weapons and a lot of guys who were exciting players. Trey Dooms, who's now finishing up his career at Chattanooga, he was just an above the rim guy, and Drew Drennan was just a do-it-all point guard. But we got contributions from so many guys on a different night basis. But always those two dudes, with Vernon and Scotty, would step up in big moments and win you games. But and then we didn't lose again until we played Oak Hill, and then we made Geico's. We were very fortunate to do that, and we had a great run. We beat Mike Bibby, his team from Arizona, in the first round. Then we got to rematch with Oak Hill, and we got over that. And unfortunately, we just ran out of gas against a really, really good, which is like an every year thing, with Montverde. But and the state championships 2 in a row. In pretty dominant fashion. We didn't duck anybody. We played everybody. My second year there, we defeated 8 state champions from around the country and in state. So I felt we had a responsibility, knowing how good those guys were, to try to play as many big games as possible. So, but again, man, it was just that really, really great players and great kids at the right time.
And with being a coach, like obviously kind of basketball is the main thing. And then, like relationships are important, but something that I actually like recently, probably a couple weeks ago, I rewatched the Slam Day in the Life of Vernon Carey and Scotty Barnes, and I saw they were interviewing you and everything. What was that like as a coach? Being on like a Slam Day in the Life and everything. Is that super cool?
Those guys got so much media attention. I remember we turned out of the one huddle for introductions, and I always go to the baseline as far away from the kids as possible because it's their spotlight. And I turned around, and there were 7 cameras, like 7 different guys, Hoop Diamonds, all those guys. And I embraced that. I think that's important. I think the way basketball has become an industry, especially at the grassroots level, is because of people like you, and people like Tyler and Hoops Diamonds and all those guys. Like, the amount of sacrifice you guys put in with your time and your efforts, it's really great. But also, I mean, it helps those guys grow. It's a different experience for them, being in front of a camera, speaking in front of a camera. And that was really a lot of fun. I thought the guys with Slam did a really good. I actually, eons ago, 30 years ago, I was the first ever employee for a company that eventually became the Hoop Group, which is a very large East Coast thing. I was it. I was one guy. And the guys who founded Slam Magazine, were like the first issue they came and dropped it off at camp. So it's good history, and everything comes full circle. But I got to say, like guys like yourself, you guys are important to grassroots basketball, because not just helping these kids get scholarships, but giving them just a great experience. And I think that's got to be noted.
Yeah, I at least I'm sure for me and all the other media people, we all really appreciate your gratuity, I guess you could say. And you mentioned a little earlier about how you were like an assistant coach at Rutgers and at Rhode Island, and then you go to university school where even though it's a very nice private school and everything, like you're going from college basketball where some people start off being a head coach of a team to get to that, like I guess you could say, even though that was a pretty big deal what you did over there, in a way, some people could think as you got like you digressed or whatever in terms of going from college basketball to high school basketball. So can you maybe describe kind of that?
Yeah, it's different. Every level's different, and you got to learn every level. The practice, the kids, there's referees, competition, how you prepare for stuff. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to get guys to be unselfish, if you're trying to get guys to be accountable to each other, to play for something bigger than themselves, it makes it very rewarding. I mean, I don't have a job. I just show up every day and coach basketball, and that's really a good thing to be doing. But no, I loved it. I love being a high school coach. I think you can impact a lot more lives on the high school level. I grew up around some very good high school coaches, and from all throughout my life, I've been around Hall of Fame high school coaches, guys who really taught me what to do at that level by osmosis. It's funny when I got to university school, Balsa. I don't want to mispronounce his last name. Kornikebik. Did I say that correctly?
Maybe I honestly
anyway, but he was the guy who was staying. One of the two kids was transferring out, and I thought that Vernon, I thought Vernon was a kid you could build around, and I was very hesitant at first, and then as it shaked out, and Vernon ended up staying, and his relationship through USA Basketball helped facilitate Scott getting there. Again, it was just right time and right place, and it was just a gut feeling on those two guys, and that's really how that place sort of came to be. It would have been a much different story. Not that Balsa's not a great player. I love watching him play. I think he's a great kid, but just the dynamics of those two guys. We always had the phrase "stronger together," and that was one thing that I wanted to do. I wanted to unite that whole group of kids and make them know that the things they could do together is much better than anything they could do on their own.
And you said like the phrase like stronger together and everything, and kind of bringing like the whole team together, and you probably built a crazy good culture over there. But the thing the reputation a lot of university school kids has is like even just the normal students, like a lot of them are kind of cocky or are ungrateful or like all that stuff. So how did you really build like
I think with that we did some little things, like we had book club. We talked the first year we read Legacy by James Carr. Second year was Toughness by Jay Billis. We talked at the start of every practice in a circle, at the end of every practice in a circle. And we just held each other accountable. If those guys don't think I was doing something right, they knew my door was open, come talk about it. And we had some great give and take. But, again, offensively, and Scotty Barnes was such a big part of this. He loved to pass the ball. I mean, it is ridiculous how good of a passer and a willing passer he is. So that took care of the offensive end. And just defensively, the game honors toughness. And sometimes we were demonstrative to a degree, but I just wanted to bring emotion. I just wanted them to play emotionally, and the game honors toughness. I wanted them to be tough kids, and they bought into that. And that's really a credit to all those guys.
Yeah. So would you really say it was more like you were, I guess, slightly lucky, or they were really able to buy into the culture you wanted to bring there?
I think so. I mean, anytime the guys buy in, as a coach, you should feel, gratitude is a great emotion, but it's a great energy giver too. The more thankful you are for stuff, the more energetic you are. The more you could give, the more you're going to get back. And I think that was something that those guys picked up quickly, and they really played for each other.
And why did you choose to go from college basketball to high school basketball? Like,
it was something my family always wanted to get to Florida, and I think it was the right time in my life to go ahead and make a move down here. And there's a little bit of blind fate and good fortune and good luck. My son's actually buried down here in Florida, so it was good for us to be in the area. But more than anything else, I think that the move down here has made me a better coach and a better person too. College basketball is a treadmill. I was on it for a very long time. It's recruiting 24/7. I was really proud. The years prior to that, up at Rhode Island, we went from a an 8-win team to 27 wins and winning the Atlantic 10 championship. So I thought I learned a good formula on how to do this, on how to build something. And again, like I'm just real happy and grateful for the opportunities I had.
Yeah, and you seem like, a very, very humble individual, but I want you to kind of like, I don't know, almost channel like a little bit of cockiness. Like I've just heard, great things about you. Even in a couple of interviews, like I interviewed Coach Yoni and Max, one of your former managers, and they said great things about you. Same with the Tyler Hendricks' mom. Like I just always constantly hear like great things about you. So just why do you think you have such a high reputation?
I mean, they're kind people, but I think the one thing is we were lucky to be like, you take a guy like Max. Max was the manager, and a lot of schools that's an afterthought. But I knew it every day at 2:20. Max was going to be in my office, and we'd be talking about practice or talking about the team. And he just had so much. The guys had so much respect for him. A kid like Taylor, as a freshman, Taylor was supposed to play on a JV team. But I just thought so much of him, and even his brother late in the year. Tyler's an exceptional little player.
Yeah.
Tyler's gonna have a better college career than he has high school career. And I think just believing in those guys, and they rewarded it tenfold with anything that they did on the court. And again, I think I was just we got lucky that we all found each other at sort of the right times. And I appreciate them saying good things, but more than anything, I could go on about those guys forever. I mean, Taylor Hendricks has a chance to be a professional player out of UCF when he's all said and done there. He made an unbelievably great choice, and he's going to go there. And I think he's going to be just a great player there. And Yoni, I mean, I don't want to sound like an advertisement or a commercial for him, but if you could work out with that guy right now, I mean, the year he spent with Penny Hardaway has been a difference maker in his life. And again, he does it for the right reasons. He does it because he loves the game and he loves to share. Basketball is so much of a sharing game and a sharing sport that we have to just give so much more out there.
Yeah, it's honestly just so crazy, like just hearing you speak. Like you're just so like not almost like I don't know how to make not like I don't know, like a Buddha or whatever you believe in, like someone like. Just, everything you said, I think is so.
No, listen. If you watch me on the sidelines, you're thinking totally something different, and I just think that once the game starts, you got to be a cheerleader and you got to fight for your guys. But coaches, we love practice. We want to win practice every day. Once the game starts, we do that, and I think just I like I said, I think some coaches just take all this on the wrong note. To me, it's not about a contract you have or a deal you have or a shoe thing or anything like that. This is about long-term helping some of these guys out. And, life's going to kick you in the face really hard a couple times in life. And if you could have lessons that you learned through sports when you were in high school, you got a chance to survive it or anything else. I mean, I can't wait to see how your career ends up because, you got a gift for this and you got a lot of guts and you got a lot of hustle. So I'm looking forward to seeing you do this for the next 20 years of your life.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I actually got the opportunity I interviewed Scotty Barnes actually.
It's the best, right?
That was I could not believe that he did say no originally, so I had to kind of like luckily someone else came in, gave me a little advice. He was like I asked him about his cousin that I guess loves his cousin, so but regardless, like that was a big deal for me. Like it was.
Yeah, I saw that kid's talented. I mean, some of these young players, and if the team we had at university school was in any way responsible for jumpstarting any of that stuff, well then I feel 10 times better. But I really think there's a lot of great young players in Dade and Broward and even in Palm Beach County. Mm-hmm. I mean, Marvell Allen, man, that dude can go. And I look at a kid like Malik Renault up at Montverde. He might be the most efficient scorer I've seen in a long, long time. I mean, I get to see Jet around the academy and watching his growth and just a terrific player. And the Thompsons, I mean, those dudes are freaks of nature.
Yeah,
their emotion and the way they attack that rim, they attack that rim beautiful. I mean, their defense is just stellar. So it's a good time. For all of us to be able to watch these guys and, with Scotty, like Scotty's one of those guys that the kids on my team get sick of hearing Scotty Barnes stories because there's just so many great stories about that kid as a person. We played City of Palm finals, and we had about 20 minutes before the game to get out there and get ready. And so we finished talking to the team and, waiting for the game in front of us to finish. And there was a kid that they have one trainer. So there's a kid on the training table and he had like a back issue and the trainer's like massaging it out. And Vernon needed some medical attention. I think it was Vernon or Trey. And like the natural coach instinct kicks in and you're like trying to hustle the kid. You're like, yo, man, come on. We got to get this guy on the table. And Scotty just like tapped me on the shoulder and he's like, yo, relax, man, that he's important too. And I'm just saying to myself, like, I learned more from Scotty as a coach and as a person than I could have ever taught him. So I'm happy for that guy. I think draft night's going to be something really special for him. He's out there training right now. He picked a great agent, and just really happy for the year that he had.
Yeah, it's super cool kind of hearing stories like that because you see these, like, that was kind of, I guess, my first more of like an interaction with Scotty Barnes, for my whole life. And it's like, I'm catching him now where he's literally weeks or I guess months away from going to the NBA. So he's a little more different now, but just hearing stories of him like as a kid and everything where, you think all these NBA players is all just guys that kind of keep to themselves or they're not, nice people to just the average person. Like it's so cool hearing like all those stories about just, how they were as kids before everything just started happening for them.
Yeah, no, and he'll be embarrassed and he'll dispute things, but he went into Florida State's locker room this year, and that was a pretty well-established veteran team, and we all saw the impact that he had. And again, that goes into just playing the right way and being a really, really good person. It's important any school that I'm at that the guys are they're part of this school and they're not looking for any kind of entitlement. We used to have like that ratio where your gratitude had to be higher than your entitlement, and I think that's real important to keep in. Especially now, social media, the AAU. I mean, these guys, it's really good what everybody does to show exposure to these guys, but a kid has a bad weekend, he has to read about that. Or his rankings drop, that affects him. And guys aren't really getting a chance to develop sort of on their own. Summer used to be a time where you went and added something to your game and you were a little bit away from people and getting work done and the old expression, what happens in the dark comes out in the light. That used to be the dark part. Now there's no dark. It's straight through. There's something on you, especially if you're a good player. So, man, I feel for these guys. I think one thing that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to learn as much as I could about mental health and trying to help these guys with any sports psychology that I can, because it's much different being a good player now than it was even 5 years ago.
Yeah. You bring up sports psychology. Are you like at all have any sort of, because I was thinking like I'm in a psychology class right now in my school, and it's more we just learn about like stuff, like it's not really psychology itself, but it does seem kind of interesting, and I do enjoy the class. So when I go to college, I was like, maybe I'll be a sports psychologist. Or something.
It's unbelievable. At University of Rhode Island, we had a guy named Justin Sua that we hired, and Justin's terrific. I used to follow him on social media, and we were fortunate to bring him in. He actually worked here at IMG years ago, and just reading podcasts and listening to things and reading and just is trying to grow, because I really think that everyone's skill level is getting to be so high. You see the NBA, the players are unbelievably skilled. College basketball guys are unbelievable, even high school kids. So now what's going to be the separator, what's going to make a difference in kids' lives is them being able to process this overwhelming amount of information that they get and make really good decisions as people and as players. Because, like I said, I don't think it's very easy for these guys right now. When kids are announcing their commitments to high schools in 8th grade, that didn't happen 10 years ago.
Yeah.
AAU announcements, or, I'm blessed and honored to get my 37th offer. Well, you're not blessed and offered. You earn this. Now, what are you going to do with it? And I think a lot of that just comes down to how guys process information and they figure out the people in their life,
Yeah. So I guess are you like a big believer in kind of guys, posting their offers, like the high school stuff, or do you think it's like they should just kind of keep quiet? Because I feel think, it's cool to post, but at the same time,
I think it's I think it's this. I love when guys I love when guys do that. Because I think that, shows their pride, shows their work. I just think you always got to keep things in perspective. more than anything else. We did a thing, actually my second year there, we talked about there's two kind of people on the internet. There's announcers and there's informers. If you're an announcer, it's me, and I got an offer. I had 17 points. I'm posting my highlight. I do, when a kid posts a highlight, like of a dunk or something after a game he lost, I sort of say to myself, like, wow, that's, but if you're an informer, you're giving out something you learned. Maybe you're giving out an inspirational video or something someone could read or something someone could benefit from. And my challenge to those guys was try to be an informer at a 2/3 rate and an announcer. We did 1 week where guys had to post stuff about their teammates only. And when you start doing that, I think guys start thinking about the right things. But again, those are the things I think we need to focus on. We need to, we got to make sure guys are staying humble, that they're not setting themselves up for a fall or setting themselves up for trouble in the future, because it's not always going to be just easy. This is hard. What a lot of guys are trying to do is very hard. We all want to be as successful as we can, and I think that's important. That guys realize that the more that they give and the more that they show appreciation for their teammates, the easier their life becomes.
And that was also like a perfect segue, the whole trying to be an informer compared to an announcer, because when I think of like your social media, of course you do post a handful of just basketball stuff, but like I don't know, I always say like inspirational quotes. Like you're always posting like a quote or like the sunset or something like that. So you really do like practice what you preach.
No, listen, the Chamber of Commerce in Longboat Key should be paying me, because we got the most spectacular sunsets. And for a guy who grew up in the Pocono Mountains in Pennsylvania, this is beautiful living. But I think it's important. I really do. And I think I have a responsibility to do that. And some of it's just for the guys that I'm working with right now to read. And also some of it's for the guys that I've coached in the past, whether that's, 20 years ago, and I used to send it out by like text or direct message, and social media makes it a little bit easier for me to do, but also to hold yourself accountable. You gotta walk, you gotta walk your talk a little bit. You gotta practice what you preach. And I think it's a good way to keep yourself in check also.
Yeah, I actually just realized while you were talking, one of the things you posted, I kind of took to heart. You actually posted something. It was like, it said like, growth is growth. Like no matter if it's like, a little bit or a lot, like, you're still growing. And I kind of I really, like listen to that, because like, with social media and everything, it's basically all about growth. And, I used to kind of be like, I got one follower and that was or I did just one interview and that was it. But, I did that, and eventually, it just all adds up. And I read that and I'm like, I'm going to kind of stick by this.
Yeah,
so,
we were definitely a 1% better team. And, the Miami Heat, we're very fortunate to have the best culture in basketball right in our backyard to learn from. I love watching Coach Spo's post-game interviews. Anything I could watch about him pregame, how he deals with the media, what he says, even back to Coach Riley. I always used to bug Coach Howard, like, hey, can we go watch shoot around or training camp? And no one gets in. It's like them and what they do. And they're the best at it. So, it's something for all of us to learn simply by them being in our area. And, I think that there's none better than Heat culture, and I love watching and learning everything about it. So, but we were 1% growth team. I think your happiness comes from your growth.
Mm-hmm.
People that like sort of plateau, or they feel they're stagnant, or they're not getting better as players, or not getting better as people or students or, interviewers, like you're not as happy. So you could always work on something, and that's going to be another fuel that helps you get through things.
Yeah, it really, I'm really thinking like throughout, this basketball, because I'm my school's manager, kind of like Max, and I would leave practice and I'm like, man, I learned nothing. Like I'm definitely not ready to be a coach one day. But then I started after I read that, I was out to practice, and I'm like, all right, I learned, you got to make a pass exactly like this. Like this is how like coaches want it and everything. And I just took away that one thing, and then I'm like, all right, like I'm at least somewhat happy of what I've kind of done today, and then tomorrow I'll pick up something else, and eventually all of a sudden it all comes together. So that. What you put out there really well,
thank you. It's a lot of it's message to the players and guys I have now, or even guys that were 20 years ago, and I just want to stay consistent with that.
Yeah. And in terms of like being a coach, what would you say would be some of your best advice to young coaches or like high schoolers like
Oh,
myself
wow.
that want to get to your
Go
level?
ask someone smarter than me, but someone better job than me. I think it's different now. If you want to get in college, still the lifeblood of college coaching, and so much of it is based on recruiting, knowing players, having relationships with players, knowing who decision makers are, knowing guys that consistently have good players. You know, whether it's a high school coach or a grassroots coach. Um, I also think just write things down. One thing that I always look back, I wish I would have wrote down a lot more when I was learning and stuff like that. You know, keep journals, even things you don't like, you know, but write things down. And the quality of your life depends on the quality of your questions. So when you get a chance to be around someone who's had success, and success always leaves footprints, go ahead and have questions ready to ask them. You know, don't be the, hey, how could I get a job guy? Be more like, hey, coach, like, what do you read, coach? Like, to tell me about what you do with your day. Why do you believe in this offensively? Why do you believe in this defensively? And I think those things just, you know, never turn down a basketball. I'm sorry, I put you off on this for a couple months. I just want to make sure I have time, but
Oh no,
never,
no.
never,
It's,
never
it's
turn
my
down,
fault too as well.
never turn down a basketball opportunity or an opportunity to talk basketball. You know, you could learn. You could always learn.
Yep, and that is just the main purpose of me wanting to talk to you, because even though you said humbly like, oh, you talk to someone a little, like a lot better than me, like that's why I'm doing this, because I'm kind of like a young aspiring coach kind of thing. At least it's something I'm might be interested in, so that's why I'm
I'll
talking.
tell you what, like, you know, guys your age, like when I was at Rutgers in Rhode Island, I used to watch Alex Klein all the time, and Alex Klein was a guy who did exactly what you're doing. He knew kids, he knew players. He didn't have this format. He had more of a written report format. And listen, the whole basketball world, celebrated when Alex Klein was hired by the New York Knicks about a year ago to do scouting and help with their front office stuff. So, I think the more encouragement we could give to guys who are young in this game, no matter what aspect there are, that's better. It's better for us to do, because it all comes full circle. And the other thing too is, like, you could help somebody. Alex has a great foundation for his mother passed of cancer. He did an unbelievably good job bringing in speakers, even through the pandemic, to go ahead and raise some money for some hospitals and cancer research. Tragedy, great sadness visited me and my family with the loss of our son. And basketball, that got us through a lot of that. We were able to put together an unbelievable clinic. And, the first clinic we had for the Braden Carr Foundation featured, let me get everyone right here: Larry Brown, John Calipari, Bill Self, Mr. Hurley, Bob Hurley. I'm forgetting someone. Oh, Jeff Van Gundy, who was the guy who came up with the idea for the event, and Mike Rice. I was working at Rutgers for Mike at the time. And through the years, we've had Brad Stevens and Billy Donovans and Tom Creans and Stan Van Gundy's. And I'm just really appreciative to those guys and the money we raised, and then the job that we did helping some families out and helping some kids out who have some issues with seizures. And so, I mean, who knows? Who knows where this takes you, and who knows where this takes, a kid like Max. Who knows where it takes a guy like Vernon? Vernon's going to have a great platform to give back. I love what his dad does with his foundation. Vernon's been raised the right way in terms of giving back. I'm sure Vernon's going to give back. I'm sure Scotty's going to want to help his community in some way. And that, to me, is as important. It's more important than just winning games.
Yeah, that really, when you said seizures, I really just kind of took, actually, I had epilepsy from first to, I think I was having a lot of seizures from first to third grade kind of. And luckily I've been off medicine. So, yeah, it's just,
it's terrible. I mean, it attacks innocence.
Mm-hmm.
For a kid, it's hard to go through that. And for anybody, it's hard to go through that. But, wow, I didn't know that, man. So I hope I didn't bring up a bad wound for you.
Yeah.
I just want you to know, that's to see you doing what you're doing and knowing that you had that in your life makes this even more special for me.
Yeah, for me it was more, I it's almost like hearing the stories that my mom would say. Like, for me, I had no clue what was going on, but just imagining my sister, who I always get annoyed with all day. Like, my mom said like she's 2 years younger than me. Like she really had to just step up in those scenarios. Like I it's more just feeling for my parents and for my siblings, and even like my neighbor who moved away to Jacksonville, we're still good friends with. Like more like hearing like what they kind of had to go through, I felt like was almost worse than what I had to do.
You know,
so,
and that's just it. I just think, you know, the more people we could get given back to stuff, it's going to be better. You know, charity games. South Florida has a unique thing. Guys who run games and event operators have like a monopoly on some of this stuff, and you know, I hope those guys do a better job of raising money. And you know, like voter registration stuff was real important. You know, the basketball world had an impact on that. And I think through some Zoom calls, we're able to do that. I think education on the vaccine right now, we should be talking about that as coaches and as players, and you know, not just talking about ratings and rankings and tournaments and who beat who and all that kind of stuff. Like, let's use this attention that we're providing and we're getting for things that are really good.
Yeah, and I'm hoping next year something that I might want to do. So my school's high school coach, Coach Lookie, I don't know if you know who.
Yeah, no.
He does. I mean, besides his like coaches versus cancer event, he also does something for like unsigned seniors. Yeah. He also has like a huge event. I mean, once the amount of kids he has going to that thing, all free. Yeah. Plus, you know, then all these coaches are there. That's kind of something I might want to kind of step into as well. To, you know, just hopefully just help out, you know, as many kids as possible that just work. Because I mean, of course, there's some kids where they don't really get that. Like they think they're working hard, but they don't see it. But then there's others, like there's some kids where I'm on Twitter and I always see like these coaches like Division III, you know, JUCO, whatever, saying like, oh, I'll have time to look at film, like players. And I see the same kids like always putting down their film. So those are people, you know, like I want to help out people that work hard, and you know, like I feel like if you work hard, you deserve it no matter
That's
what.
why, like currently at IMG, this is a kind of cool place for that. We had, I think we had 28 kids in our post-grad program this year. 26 kids are already set for where they're going to go and play at next year. And it's anywhere from, you know, like Efton Reed to LSU, or Benny Williams to Syracuse, Lenny Greer to Dayton, down the guys going to, you know, Eureka College in Illinois, Elmhurst, you know, all over the place. And if a kid commits to, you know, Lynchburg, that kid's getting celebrated as much as the guys who are going to LSU and going to, you know, Alabama. So your college scholarship isn't for you. It's for the next generation of you, and it really affects so much in your life. So anything we could do to help a kid get that is really remarkable and true.
Yeah, and bringing it back to, I guess, coaching and like advice on that stuff. I know kind of how you and Max, because he said in the interview, like I said, what was kind of like a big thing for you and your, you know, kind of getting you to where you are today and everything in terms of your knowledge is like every day, you know, I would always talk to my coach, and I had like a study hall or whatever. So every day I'd go in his office and we would talk about everything.
He was invaluable. No, I'm serious. Like he was part of the coaching staff. Like Max would come in, and every program needs a guy like Max. And, you know, Max has such a bright future, but he would come in and it would be X and O's. It would be, how do we get to this guy? It would be scouting. He was doing scouts. I mean, he's a high school senior. We played a pretty good schedule. He's doing scouts. And, you know, guys like that. And I think it's helped him in college. He's had a really good impact at Hofstra and now Penn State. And no, it's really good for him. Happy for that guy.
Yeah. And I'm not going to lie, for me, like I consider myself pretty decent at networking, you know, kind of all the other stuff you need. But I would almost say, you know, my one weakness is like the X's and O's and kind of all that stuff, especially not being a player. So
you don't realize this, but like we can hear you inside with the windows closed.
Hey, I'm sorry. I gotta go. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, my neighbor. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
Right. So I'm moving inside here. Yeah. Sorry about that. That never happened to you before, right? Let me get a light on here.
Yeah, I've had some interesting things happen before. Right?
It's a quiet neighborhood. So no, listen, that's you know, I think again, the more we give back to each other, the better we make each other. This is a great game, and that's our responsibility.
Yeah. So what would be your, like, I guess, kind of advice to somebody in terms of trying to learn X's and O's and everything, as someone that's not like a
there's so, you know, it used to be the 5 people you spend the most time with, you become them. And now with the digital world we live in, and this past year, there's so many great clinics online. I think just watch things, study things, reach out to people. It's a game where people like to share, and then just figure out like what you think is right and what you could coach. You got to be comfortable explaining everything. So that's I think that's the best thing that you could do is just there's so many great NABC has a great series out right now. The guy Lee Klein. There's so many great things you could sign up for or watch without leaving your house, and just budget your time. We ask our guys to practice hard. At IMG, you shoot every morning, you practice every afternoon, you come back for optional shooting at night. That's 3-4 hours a day. We got to challenge ourselves to do the same thing. You got to be disciplined in your approach, and this is my time, whether it's 5 in the morning or whether it's at night. But I'm going to spend this time trying to get myself better. So just have that focus on getting yourself better as a coach and studying it, and then just watching games and the NBA playoffs are a great incubator for ideas. The EuroLeague playoffs right now, you just missed the NCAA tournament, but watch right out of a timeout, see what guys run. Right at the start of a second half, what guys start the games with. But again, write things down. Fast model things up, draw stuff, and have a good collection of what you would do. You have to really think like a head coach. You have to think like if you're the guy who's calling the shots, what you're doing. So
yeah. And then I guess kind of to end it off here, I want to bring it back to now.
You want me to bring my neighbor over to tell us to go? I don't even know my name. He called me neighbor.
Yeah, that was I mean, I'm not like there's been that was probably that could be one of the more interesting that's happened, but that's definitely not like the most like there's been some.
It was just nice to sit outside. It was great to sit outside. So
yeah. But I guess like my final thing is you really have achieved so much. I don't know. Like, do you have kind of any goals or kind of any other?
No, I think it's my goal is I got a 7-year-old daughter, and I want to be like the best dad to her possible. I want to provide for her a life that's really good, and teach her the right things to do. I like her being around the game of basketball. I like her being around sports. She's a hell of a little tennis player. And great Instagram kid too. I mean, she's already got the little count going. But I think that I don't know. I don't want to set like year to year or lifetime goals. I sort of think if you put the work in, it's going to find you, and just be ready for whatever the opportunity is. I got a great assignment here at IMG. We're building out a team, combination post grad and high school seniors. Of academic elite kids, guys that want to play in the Ivy League and the Patriot League, and the best D2 and D3 schools that fit that. And it's just building a team, which I really enjoy doing, and having a chance to coach them next year. So I'm really happy with what I'm doing and where I'm at. And I want to be ready for anything that might come my way in the future in college and pro basketball and high school basketball, whatever it is. I just want to be a hero to my daughter. That's the main goal every day.
Yeah, and I guess since you kind of brought that up, like just one more question. Even for me, like my ultimate goal in life is actually to like I would much rather be a family man than be a basketball coach. I would drop basketball for everything. Just have a wife, have kids. Just get a normal job and live a pretty decent life. I think I would give up basketball for that. So how have you kind of balanced out?
No, I'm bad at it, and everyone will tell you like they're bad at it. It does. You do sacrifice hours. If you're successful in anything, you're sacrificing something. And what I've tried to do over the past couple of years, I think I've gotten better at it. I think high school has enabled me to do that. Is you don't get balance. There's no way you can balance the demands and what you truly want to do every day. So you gotta bring them on board. Having my daughter go to games up until this year, was unbelievable. Bus trips. She did one bus trip with us and at university school, and it's called the Shark Shuttle. And she's sitting in the first seat, and the kids get on, and the kids are all, they mess with her, and they know her name, and they talk to her. And then as they sit down, she's like, "Guys, sit down. You have to be quiet." Because when you're a kindergartner, that's what you're taught. And it was like one of those moments. Like that moment for me was as good as cutting down a net or a championship. And I don't think you could ever find a balance. I think you have to just entrench as much as you can into that, and just realize it and keep it in your mind, because we don't say family. I don't believe when guys put their hands together and saying family, because I don't think you could ever create that. I think family is something really special, and I think that's for the home, and for your blood relatives and the people that you create in your life that are your family. But I don't think it's a team is something so much different. But yeah, no, and you could do both. I really think that it's not as frowned upon now. I think one thing that's coming out of the pandemic is the sense of people can work from home and people should have responsibilities outside those jobs. So I encourage you that. But no, again, I'm the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Sort of looked at times, but I'll try to be better, and I'll try to be good with that. And that's why I think high school is really good. It's just the economics. College basketball pays a lot more than high school, so you got to balance that too. Wherever you go, if you stay in journalism, if you go in coaching, the higher level you get, the more it pays and the more demands there are, and that's something you have to figure out and balance and go from there.
Yeah, that's why I was considering things, maybe like sports psychology or psychology, or like maybe if I'm a graduate assistant, get like a law degree, because also, I'm getting like an automated call right now, but yeah, because it's like, see, even weird things happen to me.
The professionalism of this interview has hit an all-time low between my neighbor and some robocalls. I'll tell you what, I encourage the sports psychology stuff. I think within 5 years, every NCAA team is going to have a staff member, a mental skills coach. We have a guy, Mike Urban, who works with our guys here at IMG, and it's invaluable. Like a coach could only do so much, and there is a transactional side to every relationship in coaching. They want to play. They want to play as many minutes as possible, and they want their role to be this and that. And sometimes there is going to be a give and take that you, for a lot of reasons, can't do. That's why, I encourage you, man, study that, go after that. That's really cool.
Yeah. Cause I do just cause even coaching too, now I used to be kind of all in on it for a couple of months, and I'm like, but maybe there's other things I would want to do too. So I'm just really trying to be as broad as possible. And then eventually maybe 3 years from now, then I'll really find out one thing and just hone in on it. But
no, I don't think there's any rush, man. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. But I guess before we end this thing, is there kind of any last bits or pieces that you want
to just thanks for having me on. Yeah, I'm sorry it took me a little bit to get back to you, but I appreciate this. I hope anybody that watches it doesn't think we're both total lunatics, and I think it was a good conversation. Again, I was blessed to really coach some great guys. I'm still blessed to do that. And it's something I really cherish, and something I'm really grateful for. So with me, it's always about those guys, and I've had some really great experiences with them.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Coach, really appreciate you for taking your time.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it means a lot just being able to speak. I remember the day you followed me on Instagram, I was like, there's no way this guy.
Come on, man, aim higher.
I was because I remember we were watching. So I my school had a game the day of when you guys played on ESPN against Sunrise Christian. I remember we came home and they just zoomed in on you for a second. I remember my dad's man, this guy is a great coach. And then
your dad's too kind. We should have won that game. I blew that one. That was your dad was off on that one. The next day, we had to get on a bus and go play outdoors. It sounded like a great idea at the time.
It looked awesome.
Yeah, no, aesthetically it looked good, but we were sick. The guys had colds. It was a miserable rainy day. Scotty bailed us out late. Vern made some huge plays early to keep us in it. We like doing things like that. That was, if that jump started a little basketball revolution, which people have given it credit for, those guys, I'm proud to be a part of those guys.
Yeah. That really looked I remember I was on YouTube, and I'm like, there's no way I'm seeing this right.
You know who did that? A guy named Benny Frageli, who I probably mispronounced the last name, but his son is a hell of a player. Watch for Columbus High School. I
know who you're talking about. I actually know him, I guess slightly personally, because I know his son plays with Knight Riders, right?
Yeah, the young team. Yeah. And
I think they're all going to end up at Columbus.
That
Moran's a terrific coach. The Boozer kids are very good. That kid Alexander Lloyd that plays on that team, man, he could go. And that's what I'm saying. Like that's important that you guys are, you and the job, a lot of guys like you do is when guys are, at that age, people are able to watch them and learn about them. And those guys are great kids. But I think Columbus High School is another school that's going to be really, really good over the next couple of years. They just got to get older and mature. But
and also there's a kid there, Malik, as well, who plays on the Knight Riders 15U team. He's a very, 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 very nice guy. Surprisingly, I was talking to him with the Knight Riders Invitational. He was super nice, super chatty, and that team should be definitely pretty good.
I hope some of these guys stay around here and go to school, in state, and teams get rich and have great experiences. And it's a special time. You're doing this at the right time. There's probably we named probably 15 kids that are sophomores or juniors right now that are all going to be mid-major and above players contributing to ranked college teams, and that's something special. So enjoy it.
Yeah, the crazy part is Jet. He could have been here, and same with Malik, and then the Bewley twins and Wesley Carter. Like, it was going to be even more loaded.
And that happens everywhere. We were just talking about today, like New York City, which is a hub of great basketball. A lot of those kids are going to New England prep schools, and I'm fortunate. I work at the best facilities in the world.
Yeah.
It's Disneyland for basketball, and we're going to be good every year. And compete for things on a good level. I'm really excited about this team that I have the opportunity to lead. And but that happens. I think guys have to find their best opportunities. But when they get there, they got to make it happen too. So a lot of guys leave. The grass isn't always greener. But when you get there, you have to be locked in and ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Well, anyways, kind of kept you a little longer than
that's all right. That's all right. It was fine. And
I'm very grateful for your time. But just make sure.
Anytime, man. Keep doing what you're doing. It's important, and a lot of people enjoy it. So great job, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Well, anyways, I'll just plug our Instagrams real quick. So make sure you guys give us a follow on Instagram at Coach J Carr. And I'm at iHoopsFL. And anyways, as future, I don't know what you want to call the team except but future IMG.
IMG Academic Elite. I don't know if they've named it that yet or not, but we got some spots. We got some spots. Always recruiting. So, man, thank you.
Yep, definitely. I hope you have a great rest of your night. All right, guys. Really great interview. Honored to be interviewing a coach like him. Absolute legend, I guess, in the basketball world. So definitely an honor. But I'm supposed to be back tomorrow with an interview, and actually same thing Thursday, and hopefully we keep this thing going. I know my school is going to get busy next week. I'm going to be pretty busy with school, but this week just taking the time to do some interviews and everything. So and again, give us a follow on Instagram. Coach's Instagram, Coach Jim Carr, his Instagram is at Coach J Carr. And Carr is spelled with 2 R's. And my Instagram is at iHoopsFL. And hope you guys have a great rest of your night. See you guys.